Okay, for part two, you see I've moved forward a bit. I blocked in some base tones on the shirt and the top of the head, and I put a little more intense texture into the yarn here. I also did something, and I want to talk about this. I actually did put 50% in the eyebrows, the eyelashes. I blocked in the pupils and the irises, and a little tone in the mouth. There's a reason for doing this. I have pencil here. Rather than have it smear, I blocked it in, locked it in, really with marker. Same thing here. Also, you can see the face now, which is nice. Helps me just to kind of calibrate my tones as I'm going to do the face. So, like I said in our class meeting, I start with zero tone. The face toned is a light semi-gloss plastic, more of a sheen, with a base value of maybe 10 to 15% gray. And you can see I didn't draw anything really except a little detail in the ear. You can see how that would smear if it was drawn in more heavily. And again, I'm going to circle around the edge of the face, around the edge of the shape. I'm not going to block in or wet the entire half of the face. It's too much of an area to work on at one time because the paper will dry. So what I'm going to do is sort of split the face down the middle and work this bright side of the face. I know my tones are anywhere from 0 to 20, except for the cheek there where it hits kind of a 30. And you see I pulled a little bit of black pencil out of there. Things like that can be fixed. As we go along, I'll show you how to do that. A little bit of paint too. We can get in there and lift that out. I also, well, I'm making a mess there, but I can go in with my rather dirty eraser here and pick some of that tone out. Then try again with the pencil. Hey, I might as well show you how I fix things as I go. And I can actually solve most of that right now. I can also hit it with just a slight bit of a warm light pencil too. So I'm going to continue. And that's an example of why I don't put a lot of detail in too early on. I pulled pencil down into the face. Okay, so now the cheek. I'm going to develop that area, the shadow, which gives you that little roundness of the cheek. This tone will pull down towards the mouth, towards the chin. I'm going to use the blender to soften that edge while the paper is wet. You can see I get this nice flare of a soft shadow. The big challenge on this render is going to be doing a sphere with undulations and changes in direction. You know, complex shapes happening without any edges. How do you do that? Well, one of the ways you do it is you do transitions. So without a clear edge somewhere, I have to start in an area of tone, like right above the eye here. I'm going to drop in a little bit of tone. I'm going to stop right about there. And then I'm going to go back to the blender. And you see I'm actually blending that area that where I made a boo-boo. I'm going to blend that in, and gradually it'll just become part of the entire render, smoothing out. I don't, unless I make a big mistake, I don't tend to panic in the middle of my render. I just keep going. One of the great truisms of learning illustration, I had this happen in my early career, is I really got a lot better when I learned how to fix mistakes. Because once you know you can fix most mistakes, you can relax and just focus on the rendering. So here's that midpoint. I'm now where the core shadow in the face would be. So I'm actually going to flare some of this blender out on the other side. And occasionally I pick up a little bit of that pencil. What I do like to do is I put a stroke right on top of that pencil and lock it in. Same thing around the eye here. It seals it in when you get a layer of marker there. And then it reduces the smearing. So now, on the shadow side of the face, since I have the whole face in various stages of wetness, I'm going to go in with a 20 and work my way from the left side over. And that means going around the eyes. Remember I said don't render the eyes along with the skin. The eyes are actually a different color. Their true color is white. They are also more reflective, so I treat them as a separate issue. I'm going to go under the nose. This is the beginning of starting to literally pull that nose out and make it look like it's extruded forward. Go around the top of the eye. Now I can go right over this eyebrow, which is nice because it's actually, the pencil sealed in underneath. I'm now going to stop any harsh line from forming here, so I blend across. And I stop right about there, because if I keep going, you see we're into 10%, 5%. You really have to keep track. So I'm looking at my reference. I got one eye on my reference, one eye on my render, all the time. If you make mistakes, you just see how you can adjust your tones. Use a little white pencil if you get too dark in some areas. So here's one of the darkest points on the face. This kind of crook of the nose. This is a 30. Paper's wet, so I can drop tone in and kind of small circular strokes. I can fan it out in different directions. Bring it up along the eye. Back to the 10. This is now working as my blender. And of course, the face looks a little weird now because I haven't fully shaped everything, but it's coming. The reason I don't allow myself to get hung up in any area. I just keep reworking all around the face because I want to keep the paper wet. If you can do that, if you can get comfortable just kind of working globally, you can bring an entire render together much faster. I watch students get very hung up on some part of the render and the rest of it just starts drying on them. And if you're doing a continuous surface like this, all of a sudden you got lines and edges you didn't intend to have. And you can see I'm working quickly. I want to keep this video fairly short. So I may finish this in the second, part 3. Always lay more dark tone down in and then feather it. We'll go to a lighter marker and feather it. And right about there, that's about as dark as I want this side of the face to get. Now, I want more definition on this side of the face, so I'm actually going to get a little darker here. I've actually exceeded in darkness. I've gotten a little darker than the actual photo, but I'm okay. I'm not going to worry about that. I can adjust and adapt. Darken this cheek to make it match these areas a bit more. Bring a bit more tone down here. And probably right about there, I might let it dry. And then I will start again in the next video. So I'm going to smooth that because I saw kind of an edge forming there. And so that is just a quick video showing you blocking in base tones. It's not done by any means, but pretty good so far.